Oh, you actually clicked on this video. Wow. Okay. Hi, I'm PBJ, and I'll be talking about my story, Henry's Whimsical Wonders Circus. So we'll start on Henry's backstory and three important main characters, which is Henry, obviously. I mean, it's his story. Fizz, which is Henry's best friend, which you'll learn about more throughout the video. And three, Darlena, because she's like you'll understand more throughout the story. But yeah. So we kind of start off in a small town, and that is where Henry and Fizz kind of grew up and just shared their childhood together since they were best friends. And they really don't like their town because it's really hard to get food, it's hard to get clothes, it's hard to get new things down in their town. It's just really old, and they're kind of sick of living in those conditions. They both come to an agreement of wanting to help others, which in the future led to them wanting to make a small little organization to help the poor and homeless. And so Fizz was kind of the brains of the operation, and Henry's kind of the heart of the operation, which kind of goes hand in hand. And they were kind of in their early 20s, late 30s. They kind of didn't think this operation through, but in order to help the poor and homeless, they kind of just thought of stealing it from food storage facilities because their town really needs it because it's poor. But they also went to other local towns and stuff, and they kind of go to other homeless shelters that needed cans of food or clothes. They try to help them out as well. They didn't really get paid much for it, but they still enjoyed it. Henry enjoyed making people happy and seeing them smile and things. Fizz kind of just enjoyed breaking breaking into things. Fizz is very good at that, oddly enough. But he enjoys helping people out too. It's a bonus for him. So one day, Fizz planned a huge heist to steal from a food facility, and Henry stepped back from the plan and realized there has to be a better way to make people happy, because he's been doing this for so long. He kind of just steps back and realizes there's a better way, obviously. So Henry told Fizz about the deal, he just doesn't want to keep doing this anymore, and it ends up becoming a huge argument between Henry and Fizz. So Henry left, and 2 years later, Henry invested in owning a circus. In those 2 years, Henry got pretty popular in some small towns. Henry came back to his town and decided to perform there. Henry's been kind of waiting to do this performance, but he's kind of put it off since the argument with him and Fizz. So the news spread around town, and Fizz happened to hear about it. He decided to just, go watch it, and he just wanted to see what Henry's up to. Because he's nosy, It's been 2 years. Alright, back to business. I got a little distracted. So it was night, and the show started, and the audience was so ready for the show. They were actually excited. So Fizz bought tickets for a night show and sat there in the audience watching Henry and his new life. And when the show started, he saw how happy Henry was, and Fizz kind of slowly grew jealous and got a little angry with himself and angry with Henry. And so he snapped, and he went outside and lit the tent on fire through pure rage. As soon as he lit the tent on fire, he snapped out of his rage and tried to put it out, but unfortunately, the fire spread a little too quickly and burnt the whole circus down to the ground. Luckily, majority of the audience and the circus members made it out alive, except for Henry. All there was left was a little chest, and Fizz happened to take it. He found it on the ground, then decided to open it. And all he saw was a contract. It was folded up in a nice little seal with nice velvet cushion around it. And he kind of questioned himself at first before opening it, because he just burnt down a whole circus. But he just kind of proceeded to open it. And once he unrolled the contract, he was suddenly hit with a bunch of green magic. Misty looking magic. Maybe I'll put a video of what I imagine it looks like, but it's just kind of misty green, and it kind of it reads the contract out loud to him in this very mysterious voice. Who Whomever's name is within this contract must stay with the circus until they find their happiness. I know, it kind of sounds stupid, but you know, like Fizz is suddenly magically struck with like this magic, and his hair changes color, and he just like changes like his form just changes differently. And he just looks super different now, but it kind of like claims him of like he's now bound to the circus until he fulfills the contract's like wishes. Continuing with the story, we kind of just have Fizz standing there and he's like, oh my gosh, what just happened to me, dude? And he kind of like rereads the contract again, making sure he's not imagining things, and he notices his hair is different, his eye is different, his weird scar over his eye is different. And he just looks like a clown. He's just kind of confused. He's like, what is going on? Why is this happening to me? He goes to Henry's carnies and he like asks them like, what is going on? What's up with this contract? And they're like, they don't know. But here comes like kind of like the right hand man of like Henry is Darlena. Darlena is one of the oldest clowns there, not like, you know, age old, but just like the first clown to be there. And she's kind of like, well, you see this contract, right? Like, you're bound to this circus. So he's like standing there, okay, and she kind of like explains like, well, you gotta take care of us now. And he's like, no. And they're all like, yeah, huh? And this is where I kind of stopped the story, so but don't worry, in the next video I'll explain who these like other clowns are, which are Hephaestus, Baby Boohoo, Sebastian and Snickers, the twins, more about Darlena, because there's more towards her, you know, because she's kind of important since she is Henry's assistant, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, thanks for taking the time to listen to me ramble about my story. I really appreciate it. I guess see you in the next one. Bye!